Greetings, my name is Colie Aziza. I have been an early childhood educator for over 30 years with a focus on helping young people and supporting young people who have a variety of learning needs. I'm very excited to be here today to talk to you about creative play. What is creative play? Creative play is very exciting, and you can get excited doing it. It is open-ended and it has no rules. That's what I love about it. So to give you an example, let's use a game that we all learned when we were young called tag. Tag has a rule, right? Very simple. It's a simple game, but it has a rule. Someone is it. They run after everyone. They tag somebody, then that person becomes it and then begins to run after everyone. Well, creative play has no rules. You can make it what you want. You can explore and you can use your imagination. Imagination. I love to do that with young people. Among other things, when you use your imagination, you are helping to develop problem-solving skills and innovation. And that's what we want for our young people. We want them to be able to solve problems, yes, and we want them to be innovative, all right? So imagination is a big part of creative play. Now, creative play can include so many activities. That's what I love about it. The arts, drama, role-playing, acting things out, music, visual art, painting, drawing, sculpting with Play-Doh, dramatic play, right? Sand and water play, which is one of my favorites, outdoor play, building with varying materials, including Legos and blocks, playing with dolls, action figures, cars, and transportation. All of that is creative play. All right? Now, creative play addresses so much that we'd like our young people to develop. Some key areas are, again, using your imagination. Language, we want to help them develop their language skills, both receptive and expressive language. So understanding information coming in and being able to express yourself, being able to use words and sentences, paragraphs, right? I know when I was a little girl, I used to use paragraphs. My mom used to be like, can you please give me a break? We want them to be able to have very solid social skills. We want them to learn how to take turns and share. We want to support their social, emotional wellness, their ability to self-regulate and to figure out, again, this has to do with problem solving as well, but how do I handle this situation? If my blocks fall down, am I going to cry? And it's okay, but after I cry, am I going to be able to figure out how to move forward? Am I going to be able to build again, build what I was working on, or build something new? We want them to be independent, and creative play encourages that. We want them to have, again, critical thinking skills. We want them to be able to problem solve. We want them to be able to use their fine motor and gross motor skills. We want to strengthen them and develop them. So that's physical development, both fine motor, your fine muscles in your hand and your fingers, and gross motor in your legs and your arms. And a lot of that can be done not just in outdoor play, but through dance and movement wherever you are. Now, here are some ideas for using creative play at home. So I always love to incorporate music or use music in creative play. You can make instruments. You can make tambourines. You can make drums, you can make maracas, and you can look, we can do a whole video about that, but you can look that up on YouTube, and they'll show you very simple ways to create instruments. And that is creative play in itself, that you are creating instruments, and you're creating instruments because you're going to make a band. And when you finish with your instruments, you have a whole band, and you decide what your music will be in your band. So then you also become songwriters. So that is creative play right there. Very simple. very easy to do. I mean, you can make maracas using paper plates with beans, with little jingles. You can make the tambourines on the outside of the paper plate. So I'm just giving you some simple ideas. Drums, you can get boxes and cover them and get sticks and use them to create drums. There are lots of ideas for creating simple instruments at home, and you can have a whole band. Art. I'll give you an example that we used one year. In my classroom, the school decided to have a parade. And so everyone had to create a float. Every classroom had to create a float. And I decided that I wanted my young people to do that. So together, we created a float. It was a nursery rhyme parade. It was one of those nursery rhymes that were a hand game, and that is a hand game. And we made our float based on that. And we had to come up with the materials. It fell apart. We had to put it back together. So all of that, again, you're incorporating problem-solving skills, critical thinking. How do we put this thing back together? How will we do this? What colors do we want our float to be, and why? So I discussed how you can incorporate music, how music can be creative play, how art can be creative play. Another way that I really like to engage young people in creative play is in sand and water play. Now, you can actually go to the beach and engage them in sand play with searching for shells and building with the sand, right? Or you can do that at home. You can purchase some sand, usually like Lowe's has sand. I think the dollar store maybe sometimes, but I've gotten mine from like Lowe's. And you can get that and just put it in a small, a container. It depends on how many children you have. You may have to get a sand table, but if it's just a few children, you can get a small container that maybe 2 or 3 young people can use, and they can play in the sand. And you can put that maybe in the kitchen or an area in your house where you feel comfortable using the sand. And they can do all kinds of things in the sand thing. They can search for a hidden treasure in the sand. There's all kinds of things you can do if you use your imagination. Now, water play I love as well. Of course, you can go to the beach. You can go to the pool. You can have a pool in your yard, or wherever it is that you feel comfortable using your pool in the house. But you can also have a water table, again, with a small container or relative, whatever size works for you, that you feel your young people can handle. You can put some water in that, and they can do things at the water table. So you can pretend that you're at the beach, and you can't put your body in the water. Actually, you can do this in the tub, right? With your young people. If you like, they just put their bathing suits on and get in the tub. If you just have 2 or you have your 1 child, you can do water play in the bathtub. I loved water play because I thought it was fun, and the children really enjoyed it, but we just could do so many things with it. One time because we were talking about animals, we pretended that we were at the veterinarian, and some of the young people were animal groomers, and we put different animals, plastic animals, in the water, and they were grooming them. So they were washing them, cleaning their eyes, and that was a lot. It was very fun. And it created a lot of language. Again, we're talking about language, about how they were cleaning the animals and what part of the animals were dirty and needed cleaning, or if somebody had something going on with their eye or ear. This one had maybe an infection in their ear, and they had to give them medicine for their ear. So that was just lots of fun. So as you can see, open-ended, creative play, open-ended, has no rules. So much fun. So I mentioned sand and water play. I mentioned music. I mentioned art. Dramatic play is also something that I love in creative play. What I love about that is you can change it up. So if you have an area in your home where you would like to set up a dramatic play, usually we think of dramatic play as a house, right? In your home, a little area where you can create a house. And with that, if you have the room, you can do that. But you could also put all of the materials in a plastic container, close it up, put it away, and pull it out when it's time for dramatic play. What I love about that is, again, you can change it up. Dramatic play doesn't always have to be the house and the food and the plates, right, that you're eating off of. It can be whatever you'd like it to be, depending on what you're talking about or whatever story you may be reading. So dramatic play can be a restaurant. Oh, today we're going to play restaurant, right? Or it could be a grocery store. Today we're going to play grocery store. Or again, you would be feeding this material to your children. How about you just change up the materials inside the container and let your children, just today, we're going to have dramatic play. Here are the materials, and see what your children come up with, because then they're using their imaginations even more and they're being innovative even more because you're not telling them what to do. They're being independent and they're creating their own ideas about what they want to do with the materials that you put in there. Or you can ask them, what materials would you like to use in a dramatic play this week or today? Here are some things I have. Just take what you want and use it. So again, open-ended, no rules. Let them go and do their thing. Sometimes you may want a guide because you have a specific thing that you want them to learn, a specific thing that you want them to work on. Other times you just want the exploration. You want your children to explore on their own. And you can do that with creative play. There's something else I wanted to talk about before I finished talking about I remember. One of the things that I would recommend is that you provide all of these different experiences for your young people, but I also encourage you to find out what they like best. So if your child likes transportation and cars, you might start off some creative play with that, right? Let them have fun with something that they really like, but then introduce these other activities as well. If your child loves dolls, you could definitely start them off with creative play with that and let them play with that. So Play-Doh, if they love Play-Doh, oh, here's some Play-Doh. So definitely do the things that they love and then bring out other activities to become a part of their creative play repertoire. We want our children to be flexible. We want them to be able to learn to play in a variety of ways. All right, so that is some of my ideas about creative play. I want to encourage you to explore and do as many of these activities as you can, and think of your own creative activities. It's so much fun. You can do so much with creative play. And I didn't even talk about outdoors. I mean, outdoor play is phenomenal. And there's so much science that you can bring in with outdoor play. Remember to keep fun in your young people's lives and play. And remember that even once they get older, don't stop playing. Don't stop incorporating that creative play into their learning as you're working with them at home. Definitely in the school system, I really feel like we emphasize that in early childhood. But as they move on, we get more serious and focused on academics. And academics can be incorporated into all of this creative play. And so let me before I go just talk about that, because I think, some folks who are, really into academics may say, well, all this play, how are they learning? Well, I talked about how they're learning and how they're developing. But if we're talking specifically about letters and numbers, while we're doing all this, we can be counting. So I talked about the searching for the shells when you're doing sand play. You can be counting how many shells you find, right? I know that one year we had young people who we thought were struggling a little bit with identifying their letters. And so in dramatic play, maybe it was in the block area, we had all different types of superheroes and action figures, because our young people really like that. And we labeled them with different letters. Of course, so Superman would have an S, but they were all different characters that we just got, that we bought. And you will have to buy some materials But you can find the stuff at thrift stores and things like that. You don't have to spend a lot of money, because we did not. And we just labeled all of these different action figures and characters from Disney that we put around in the different areas. But I believe a lot of them were in the block area. And we and you can put them in dramatic play. You can put them wherever you want, again, because this is it has no rules. And our young people, while they were playing, would notice, oh, this is Batman. Oh, B for Batman. Batman. So you can incorporate it into what you are learning in in creative play. So I encourage you to keep the fun, keep the play. As your young people get older, scale up and continue to incorporate this into their learning. Still go outside. Young people like to go outside, no matter their age. And again, so many science activities can be incorporated into outdoor play as well. There's so much. I can do 5 I can do 5 videos about creative play, but I hope that I gave you some good, solid information. My name is Colie Aziza. You can reach me at colieaziza@gmail.com if you have any questions. Also, please go to my learning channel, Mariama Learning. And I think this has encouraged me to do some specific videos about creative play. So thank you, Dr. Khadijah Ali-Coleman, because there's just so much to be explored here. Just real specific activities about, making instruments, or, actually what you can do, the variety of activities that you can do with sand and water and outdoor play, and the variety of activities that you can do with that. So thank you so much. It's Colie Aziza. You can reach me at colieaziza@gmail.com. And please go to my learning channel on YouTube, Mariama Learning, and learn more about early learning and the fun that we can have.